we can okay, you know part of this, but I'll summarize basically like a little bit of like comms in Overwatch. So basically, you have 3 types of comms. The first type is basically, can I write on this? This is gonna be scuffed as well as fuck writing with a mouse. Okay, the first type is basically, actually I can just probably just do this. Yeah. Please, and just do this. There we go. So first type is basically info calls. So those have 2 types. I'll talk about this in a bit. Second type of calls are role specific. And then the third type of calls that you have in Overwatch are basically higher level calls between fights. Like it's basically something like that, basically. And then each one of these has kind of. So let me explain basically what each one of these is. So let's go down to 30. Info calls have 2 parts. There is basically target calls, and then there is actual like information calls. So there's one of them are target calls, and the other one is actual like information.
Why can't watch this thing? Fuck.
What?
Target. Target calls.
Okay. Come on. Okay, there you go. Okay, target calls on their own have 2 different ones, which are one of which is echo calls, and the other one is kill calls. There's a major parts. Info calls basically means position of enemy players, ability usage of enemy players. Then you also have basically those are the major ones, like where like what information you can see, so other people in your team cannot see necessarily, or information that something that happens that the rest of the team need to know.
Like Zarya bubbles, Ananade.
These are abilities, for example.
Yeah.
So this part is basically, first of all, like these info calls, like this part 1 is the base of Overwatch, is what you need to build before you move on to the next one, and it's basically also where competitive stops, more or less. If you play competitive play, there's almost no point in putting any effort to do any other type of calling unless you're like GM or something.
Can you say what is skill again?
So 4 I haven't actually yet, so yeah. So target calls. Target calls, there's 2 different things. One of them is somebody saying, and also like another thing, info calls are done by everybody. That's the most important stuff. Like everybody needs to be making info calls at all times.
Info call is like a radar, isn't it? It's like a radar. You want to know where they are. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the first part, and everybody needs to have this set already to move on to the next step. If you yourself, some of you are not yet in the step, for example, you're really not info calling. And the reason why it's so important, and in general communication so important, you already know this, but like you have everybody has only their first person view. So it's really important to have everybody saying something to combine these 6-person views into a 360 map of whatever's going on in the game. If somebody's not calling, if somebody's not saying something, then that's a major hindrance to your team, basically. That is less information, so then you can make less decisions. So what is echo calling first? Echo calling is, I kind of said it during your match last time, is basically when somebody says a target that I want to kill Zarya, for example. Of course, you don't call it like, you don't say I want to kill Zarya. It's like kill Zarya, Zarya. Everybody else who shoots Zarya, everybody else who also is focusing Zarya, echoes that call. Everybody who wants to kill Zarya also shouts Zarya. You hear pros do this all the fucking time, and it's like, it is a little bit messy. It is cluttering the comp a little bit, but it's really important because it tells the person who made the first call that everybody else is also focusing them, so that they can actually engage and commit to that kill. It tells everybody that yes, that is, I acknowledge what you're saying, that is what I'm focusing as well, let's kill this Zarya. Kill calls are basically the lit or low or that kind of stuff, basically, that you make a call to kill somebody. That is also the dive target, that is like the one that you will commit to kill that target. If somebody's low, if somebody's something, like that is somebody more, the IGL usually does those, but right now, up to step 1, we basically don't have an IGL. This is stuff everybody needs to be doing. Everybody, if he sees someone being low in HP, they need to make a kill call, basically. It's like kill Zarya, Zarya lit, Zarya low, Zarya 1, like all of that stuff that is like tells you the information about it. But it's very important to not confuse those two calls, because if somebody's like 75% HP or half HP and you make a kill call, that means that somebody in your team can commit to that kill and be punished for it without getting the kill. So if somebody's half HP, it's really dangerous for you to say that they are lit, for example, or that they are low. Because half HP and low are two very different things. Somebody being half HP is an info call, basically. Somebody being basically 1 HP is a kill call. Like, there's a very big difference between the two.
Please don't lie on 1 HP, please.
Yeah.
I use 1 HP in like comp because I know people won't focus targets if I don't say 1 HP. So I just say 1 HP.
I know why it's done. And I usually say it as well. But it's like, please don't die, please.
Yeah, but again, positioning and abilities are also very, very important. So moving on to role-specific calls, those are basically they're calls that have to do with you, with what you are doing and what you want to do. So those like examples are like May wall, whether a tank is pushing, like that you are pushing as a tank. Like which sniper angle, like if you're running double sniper, if you're running a sniper, that sniper needs to call to his team where he's gonna be positioned, what angle is he taking. Am I going left? Am I going high ground? Am I going that or that? Because they don't see you. They need to know where you are to either protect you on the dive or to like know that you have that angle. So they need to push in a certain way to make space for you. If you don't talk to them, if you don't tell them what you're doing, then they have no idea what you're doing. The same thing as an Ana. Where are you positioned? What are you doing? Are you throwing a nade? Are you throwing a slip dart? Are you about to slip somebody? It's basically your status as a player, what that is. Your abilities, your ultimate is also part of this. So whether you're using an ultimate or not, it's a very important thing to call out. And that's a role-specific call. Then it's like positioning, all of that stuff. That is like your specific calls, and this is where you start having a little bit of team-oriented calls. So if you have like Grand Zarya, is where like the bubble is gonna go in. Like when I'm bubbling you, that is a role-specific call for the Zarya.
Should I call if I don't have flashbang or something like this?
You call when you flashbang, not when you don't have flashbang. Okay. Like if you're about to flashbang somebody. If you're about to flashbang the Reinhardt, for example, the enemy Reinhardt, you definitely call it. If you're in a 1v1 against a Tracer, then you don't call your flashbang. Okay. Like, if you're really in a 1v1, if the Tracer's in the middle of your team, then yeah, you're gonna call the flashbang. Yeah, but as I said already, info calls come first. Once you have info calls down, then you move to role-specific calls. Then the third step for a team, basically, after they have these two really set in their team, basically, which you don't, by the way, it's kind of stuff where it's IGL stuff. So it's like things that you could have an e-game leader. I'll talk about the e-game leader stuff a little bit later. But so you could have an in-game leader, or you couldn't. But it's basically stuff that has to do with ultimate economy, with like what ultimates are we gonna use, what's our plan for this team fight, is the playstyle we're gonna have. This is also like, so what things IGL is supposed to call is basically if a fight is winnable or not, if we fall back or we go in. If we're gonna be playing as we're playing like a brawl, so are we playing passive or are we playing aggressive? Are we trying to find a wall? Are we waiting for a pick on our widow? What is our playstyle? What is our win condition? What is what we want to do in this stuff, like more general parts. And it's like another part of IGL, one very important part, like the in-game leader needs to be the glue of the team, basically. They need to be the one who, if you're losing, needs to make sure everybody's on the same page, make sure everybody's regrouping, make sure they are hyping up everybody. If you're winning, it is your job as IGL to hold them back from overextending, from like not paying as much attention, from not over-ulting. It is your job as IGL to be the glue of your team, to make sure that everybody plays together. So the IGL is not really the one who just calls out the shots, it's the one who holds the team together, basically.
How do you, as an IGL, say like stuff like when you're winning, right? How do you, as an IGL, say that your Ryan is not invincible and he needs to into the enemy team?
It comes down to chemistry between you two guys and how you do that. Like for me, in my team, like we're actually gonna tell Ryan, get the fuck back. What the fuck are you doing, you fucking idiot, or something. But that comes down to your team and you guys how to come back.
That's what we're doing from now on, boys.
Back and sit in the bench thing.
I can't be benched, dude. Yeah. I'm the only one that's good enough to play Ryan, dude.
What do you mean?
No, you have to be sneaky on Ryan, buddy.
What do you mean? I can play Ryan.
Don't play Ryan.
Ryan yesterday.
So
yeah, it was fucking funny.
I want another part that basically I want to talk about. There's two kind of organizations when you talk about calling in Overwatch. There is one where it's like let me just come on, select everything.
Yeah.
So there is like basically there's two types. One is communal.
This is the greatest thing.
Wow. Can you Photoshop, please?
What? Why would I Photoshop? It doesn't really matter. And the other one is like a central. So those are the two parts where somebody could have in Overwatch. What is each one? It kind of says what it is. So communal shot calling is where you have everybody in the team calling and everybody is on the same level. Yes, you could have an IGL, but their job is not calling, their job is to just be the glue of the team. Central shot calling is where the most shot calling is on one person and everybody follows their like orders, basically. So there are good things and bad things about both. Communal shot calling is very messy. So you have 6 people calling at the same time. It's what most of the Overwatch League teams, by the way, use because it has a lot of advantages, actually. So, as I said, it's very messy, it's very loud. It can have a little bit of miscommunication because if somebody's calling focus that and somebody else is calling focus the other thing, then or if somebody says push and somebody says hold back, so there could be some miscommunication every now and again. But in general, because so it is better because if you have only one person calling, then you have only his point of view. So if you have only one point of view, he could be very wrong. He could think that we don't have this fight because I don't have ultimate and I'm 20 HP, but maybe you have 3 ultimates behind you and like you can actually win this. So if he says it's lost, then you could fall back and like basically waste a lot of time. But if you're in the communal part of like shot calling, then even if one person says it's lost, if 5 people say no, it's winnable, go, I'm using ult, that kind of stuff, then it's fine. Like if there could be a little bit of miscommunication, but you're still gonna win the fight. You usually win more if you have communal shot calling. In the other part, if you have a center shot caller. I can't. It is very easy. It is very direct. It is very directional. So it is very easy for your team to like focus on the same thing. and like go for it basically. So communal shot calling is harder. And there's also like teams in Overwatch League where they have a mix of those two. They basically have 2 or 3 shot callers, and the rest of the team is basically kind of info and roll calling mostly.
That's what kind of we have. Also.
It is there is like some midway that you could have there.
It's close to what we have actually, because Derchi is sometimes calling, and also staying, and also sometimes sneaky.
Yeah, but that's just because we're bad. That has nothing to do with the fact that.
Wait, what? What did he say?
I have to go for like 2 seconds.
I'm saying I'm going for 2 seconds.
I'm not.
Okay.
So basically, we need to stop being Pepegas, learn how to do info calls, and then
So
move
yeah,
on to
I'll also
right
I'll get closer to you guys in a bit. This is like really theoretical. So
Yeah.
a thing I want to stress out is that this one is here, abilities, and ultimates I call them here, right? And both of these are before this stage, are before it. So everybody is individually responsible for what they do. They're individually responsible for making the switches. They're individually responsible for making an ultimate. They're individually responsible for flanking. For anything they do, it's their job and their fault if they don't do it correctly. You never ask whether you're gonna use an ult. If you think you need to use an ult here to win the fight, do it. If you think you need to flank to win this fight, do it. But at the same time, call it. Like that is where the roll calls comes in. You need to call it. You need to tell your team that you're doing that. But it is your responsibility to make a play. It is not up to the IGL to just like tell you what ult to use or something. Yes, you could have the general plan of we're gonna go in and we're gonna use Grav and Dragon. But in the fight, a lot of things can go wrong. Don't ask, should I nano boost? No, just throw it. Just if you think you need to throw it, throw it. You have to make your own mistakes and you have to learn from your own mistakes. You can't, if you just always be based on this like central shot calling and only have one person calling everything, then first of all that one person usually plays like shit because they have to be focused on the calls. And like yeah, they play worse, and there's also like way less information. You usually lose a lot more. If you're a bit more on the communal side, then everything is a little bit more natural, a little bit like better in general. So this is like the theory. What I wanna show you for like 2 minutes or something.
Yellow.
Yellow. Orange.
Duck, go.
Yeah, that would Google.
Duck, goose.
Is this the one I want
Honk.
to see? This is this one.
Not Jane, please.
Why not?
Why?
I don't like Jane.
Because Jane's a piece of fucking shit, dude.
Yeah.
This video is which...
What?
That's better.
Okay, so this is a video from ProBugs with voices. Sadly, no teams have released any footage of their own like comms because nobody wants to do that. But there are like videos of people talking about their comms. I think this one is this, for example, a video of people talking about how they come in their own teams. This is very old, by the way, but still.
Yeah, I think
but other than that, basically, let me switch so you can actually hear. Yeah, don't worry.
Oh, your voice is fine now.
Is it? Cool.
Yeah.
So now you should be able to hear the video as well, basically, I think.
Okay. Yes.
Can you or not? Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes.
So I wanna skip forward basically to their engagement. So this is more in the side of communal shot calling, by the way, because it is pugs, so nobody is IGL, there is nothing, and the most important thing I want to hear like how loud they are, how much they say, and how like the info, like try to distinguish within all of this the 3 types of calling that I went over basically. So there's these 3 types.
Wait, is this the pugs when the goats first become a thing?
Well, goats first became a thing in a tournament, so no.
In contest.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, whatever. I can't have that on there. It's too big.
Still applies though.
It is goats though. It is goats, but whatever.
It's the same for us. Doesn't matter.
Feels good.
Yeah, like goats is a very nice com to see for like calling and for that kind of stuff because it was everything. Like abilities were everything. Like okay. So
Happy on you, Lucio.
Oh yeah, you can't see this, can you? Yeah, you can't. So like already that was like an info call to like watch out if they have a mate, change the playstyle. This kind of.
Wait, we're spectating the red side, right?
Yes.
Well, we're spectating both of them basically.
Yeah,
but
the calls are from the red side. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Bubbles.
Man, I miss goats.
Same.
You don't even cap point.
Okay, so yeah, you always needed to win the fight first and then do anything else. So you kind of heard like what was that like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they were literally like one big blob going from one place to another.
No, but also like we're focusing on comms basically. We're not focusing on the rest, right? So let's hear on the other side.
Which one is this one?
Frosty Flakes versus
not
Number Hunters.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
He already realized something. There's absolute silence. There is no one talking. No one's saying anything about what they have, what abilities they're using, where they're pushing from. There is absolute silence. And then, like, the engagement has already happened, and you still haven't said anything. You used abilities. You used like your Ryan has actually shifted into the enemy team. Is like, yeah.
That's expected from me, though.
Yeah, but like, no, my point, like, so here, Wall should be called out. Anna Nate should have been called out. Like, not Anna Nate. What was it? There was something thrown in there. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Wall should be called out. You're like, you as Reinhardt needs to say that you're pushing in, and like all of you need to be saying that they are, for example, on choke. They're pushing in. I'm walling them. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Like, you need to be saying what you're doing. It's one of you. What you're focusing. Like, if you're focusing Ryan Shield, like. What are you doing? It might sound obvious. And silence again. Like. So you have to get to this stage to start shot calling. To start like target calling basically. You have to be in the middle of the fight for you to start to do it. But on the other side, if we go back to the pros or something, then look at how earlier they start like doing all of this stuff. Where was it? So the moment point unlocks. I think you get my point, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying you need to call like this, and also this is really messy because these guys are not a team. But still, and also by the way, they have some like Asians. They are not even speaking the same language, half of them.
Fucking Asians. What?
Only Jonak is Korean, I think.
I mean, if Jonak and Happy, yeah. Well, but it doesn't matter though. I think the point is quite clear. So everyone should talk except for intervention.
What?
No, also intervention is the talk.
I don't really like you talking.
But yeah, like I would
You're
really
bad, dude.
suggest each one of you to like. So let me switch back to.
Can you send it to?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
So
Oh, you even
Just
prepared
take one
links.
link.
what?
No, I think it's funny.
Don't worry.
Okay.
So I would really like each one of you to go over one VOD and focus on your calls. Like you can even turn off the screen if you want and just listen to you and listen to yourself and understand if you're talking too much, if you're talking too little, and if you're doing each one of these. You should definitely, if you realize you don't do any of them, first start with this one. If you realize you're doing your role specific calls and you're not doing info calls, start focusing on that. Like the first thing you need to focus on is doing those info calls. Once you got those done, once you're ready, like the moment you see somebody off angle, the moment you see a reaper behind you, the moment you see a monkey behind you, for example, in the previous scrim you were just playing, you need to call it out. And also you don't just call it out, you don't just say there's a monkey behind us. Like that is inside the game, no one's gonna hear that. You need to like shout out, it's an important thing, like there's a monkey next to your Ana. Your Ana needs to know that. Like, so you need to shout out like monkey behind, monkey behind, monkey behind, like at least 2 or 3 times. I need to let them know what is happening, and then your team can play around it. You need to be more, I already said that, you need to take more individual responsibility on your actions, both in the comms and on your ability usage. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it. And basically, as I said already, if you use an ability, if you use an ultimate, if you go for some play, whether that is playing safe, whether that is going aggressive, whether that is flanking, you need to call it out, and it's your decision to make it's not, you don't ask about it, you make the decision. Where it's a correct one or a wrong one, we can discuss it afterwards. But as long as you make a decision and you go with it and call it out so your team knows what your decision is. Of course, like I'm staying behind Ryan's shield. That is not a decision for McCree. Like that's, we know that you're doing that. You don't need to say that.
You said anything about shielding, didn't?
Yeah. But for a Reinhardt, for example, and like we can go over what its role needs to call if you want to. If you want to go through, I would really like to basically each one of you go through a VOD of like a scream and write down like what you think, how you do, and what you're lacking on and what you should be doing more, and then we can look at it together. And basically,
I can do
like,
that to myself though.
Take a couple of notes and like, yeah, but also like seeing it with the team and everything, or just with me if you want, like to help you out. And also like, so a lot of people don't call in teams because they're not sure about what to call about. They're not sure if is this correct, is this wrong, I'm just not gonna say it. But that is very wrong. Like just make sure, like if you're unsure, ask me, ask somebody off screen, obviously not during the game.
I say maybe like if I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that Doomfist is flanking. Can I say like Doomfist is flanking?
Just say it. Yeah,
I
and
think
if we
Doomfist is
see
flanking.
if we see him in front of us, then we'll correct you.
Yeah,
Sometimes
but
they
that
don't-
is also like escalated where if you go inside and don't see a Reinhardt, definitely call it, because like he's probably behind you and ready to shatter you. So like these kind of things, yeah, if you know they have a Doomfist, be expecting the flank. So like look around you, make sure if anybody spots him, if anybody knows something, they need to say that to the team. Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
So yeah, like the first thing would be basically for your team to each one specifically and all together go around these two, and especially the first one, and make sure you do that. And after that, we can start discussing kind of. So basically, right now we're taking a step back from comms and from how you play the game. Whitex?
And what is the role specific? I fucking forgot about it. What is?
It's your own abilities and how you're going to help with it. Like the basic example is that I'm gonna flash run you ult or something like that, you know.
Like any kind of
that
thing
can be
you
smart
are
then.
doing, basically. So any kind of anything you do that can change the outcome of the fight, then you call it out. That's a make wall. That's a bubble.
I'm
that
speeding
is.
in, like go in.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That,
Also, like just a Ryan walking forward is a role specific call because he has the big direct angle and he's the main tank. So, yeah. Also ultimates, also all of that. But once again, focus on these. Focus on echo calling, one of them, and focus on info calling on enemies first, and then on this one. Because once like in order to make role specific calls and make them correctly and make them like actually make correct decisions, you need to have information on what the enemy team is doing. If like I don't know, I don't want to quote like what's the book, like the Art of War, I think. Yeah, like if you know yourself but you don't know the enemy, you're gonna win half the battles. If you know the enemy and don't know yourself, you're gonna win half the battles. If you know neither yourself nor the enemy, then you're gonna lose all the battles. If you know yourself and the enemy, you're gonna win every single battle. So that is where basically these two come into. Yeah, but any questions, any specifics you want to ask about all of this?
How to get good?
No, the intervention is a lost cause, dude.
Intervention. I can give you advice from my own experience. When I was first starting out as like trying to get better at shot calling and everything, it was incredibly exhausting. I cannot like explain how exhausting it was because I was trying to heal everybody, keep everybody alive, also trying to like keep track of what ults they're gonna have, like what are they gonna use, and yeah, that's comp. I know. But that's when I was getting better at it. I didn't have a team. I was just trying to do it all on my own. So the basic thing, the most basic thing you can do is just legit just calling the abilities of the enemy. You see something or the position. Both of them are really fucking good. So like you already do the position sometimes. I don't hear you too much, but yeah. But the abilities are like most important ones. So yeah, let's say that you hear a flashbang go off from the enemy MP. You don't see it, but you hear it. You say like MP no flash, MP no flash, or like you see the Ana throw a nade that doesn't get anybody antied, so you say like, or sleep, because it's a projectile, you see it go in, you call it out, you go in, or our flanker can go in, stuff like that. Just keep it really basic, and when you feel like those things kind of start feeling natural, like incredibly natural, then you move on to other things. Then you can be like, like pin Ryan, I'm gonna anti or something like that.
Yeah, pin Ryan.
That is a role specific call, for example.
Yeah.
But at the same time, info calls come before the engagement, by the way, guys. So it's not like, so if a monkey is jumping you, you don't like, so the monkey jumps you, you fight for him with like 5 seconds, and then when you're low, you're like, oh, monkey on me. No. It's like the moment you see the monkey you saved, the moment you hear the monkey be near you, you need to call it out. Calling comes first.
Not even when he is jumping. Just call it when you see a monkey,
Yeah.
Yes.
Because for sure, if you're playing Ana, for sure they're gonna jump you. Just be like, they have a monkey, help me. They have a monkey.
Do we scrim tomorrow?
Probably, yeah.
Wait, let me just put that thing up.
So yeah, but like I think that looking at your own and doing like a self vote and actually writing down these things for yourself will help you a lot. So it's nice to do that maybe before the next vote and before the next scream, or if you don't have time, of course, you can do it after. Other than that, you can use like 1 or 2 screams to just make your comms better, because once you make your comms better, once you have especially info calls down, and then you start moving into role specific calls for everybody. So again, you don't wait for Sneaky to tell you go in. It's Stingray's job to tell the team when he's pushing in. It's like Anna's job to tell them when, oh, I can't see you, you need to get the fuck out of there, or like something. Those are role specific calls. So first focus on info calls, and once you have those, then during screams you can start practicing more role specific calls. And for info calls, also practice them during your competitive games. Info calls should be done in competitive, and you don't need to go in competitive. Doing IGL calls or role specific calls usually will just tilt you, because people will not listen, people will not play the way you expect them to, because they play on their own way. There is no reason for them to hear you. You're just a random guy on ladder, like they don't care about you, so there's no reason for them to hear you. So, but info calls, they're definitely gonna listen to those. They're definitely gonna react to those. And even if you're a little bit shy and you don't want to press that button, do them for yourself. Just say them out loud. You don't need to push to talk or something. Just say them.
I've pushed it actually on fucking Overwatch.
Yeah.
I'm open mic and I mute it if I don't want it to be.
I'm open mic and I just leave my microphone open because I talk a lot.
Yeah, kind of similar actually.
Sensei, I used to have push to talk and it was okay.
Huh?
I'm gonna head out now though.
Yeah, that's it actually. That is took around 40 minutes, I guess.
Are we done?
That's as much as I did. Said I can send you this link so you can have a little bit of a look of. So this one is one of these from the two pros are. I can send you all of this.
Yeah. Or you can put all of them in WOD reviews and we'll check them out.
So the one is mostly. So it was Jake being kind of an IGL there. It was more like of a central format. The other one, the Scrims Row one, is more of a communal thing. It's more where everybody's calling it. Of course, there is times where they switch around. As I said, once again, it is pugs. It's not a team. So, but you can still learn from it. There's still like a lot you can learn from it. Just focus on the calls because it's goats. It's not something you can actually do in the game, so you can't copy the thing, team comp. But
also, have you looked at our the WOD where we played against Trashfire? I was starting to think that like maybe our comms were getting a bit better.
They are slowly getting better. Yes, that is true. Sometimes, but sometimes you have like a minute or two of awkward silence.
Our comms in games, in self games, are way better than our games calls. I have to say it.
True.
I notice it every time. It's way better.
Just go sneak if you need to.
I'm gonna pee.
Yeah, also,
I really need to pee.
Just get a bottle.
Someone to play
Get a jar.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Alright.
I have Zoom in so fucking school tomorrow, dude. I don't fucking need to sleep. Fuck.
Have Zoom. Okay, good.
Zoom meetings, yeah, dude.
Alright, see you guys tomorrow then.
Zoomer.
See you.
Okay, see ya, Sneaky.
I have Zoom meeting for English class. In
Clash.
Class. Fuck off.
Clash.
You really need to focus on that, dude, because it's English class.
I mean,
it's not just
of
for a
course.
15 years old, your English is very good, personally, I think.
Okay, we do have 6 for tomorrow, so that's good. I'll look for a scrim tomorrow.
But yeah. If you have any questions, if you have anything else, let me know.
I have like one comp game someone to play.
I can play with you if you want to.